Good evening, I'm Mark Gardner, I'm Chief Executive at CST. This briefing is very important to me and to CST because we want to give you the knowledge of what is being done by us and all of our partner groups to help tackle the problem of anti-Semitism within the non-Jewish school sector. Also, we want to give you a better understanding of what is in place should your children suffer from anti-Semitism. And I really hope that giving you this knowledge will help for you and your children to find additional strength and resilience at what is a very difficult time. I know personally and professionally all about this issue. Personally, I went to a non-Jewish inner city state secondary school in Glasgow at the time of the Lebanon War. It was not a pleasant experience. Professionally, I know that every time Israel is at war, the number of anti-Semitic incidents escalates sharply, and it's especially difficult for children in non-Jewish schools and for young Jewish adults on university and college campuses across the country. We'll address the issue of campuses tomorrow in a separate briefing. Right now I want to concentrate on schools. Our staff here in the CST office, their children go to Jewish schools and to non-Jewish schools. We all feel this issue. The day after this war started, I was literally speaking with the Home Secretary, raising specifically the importance and the vulnerability of Jewish children in non-Jewish schools. We started work immediately with the Department of Education to get strong guidance issued immediately to schools all across the country, and I'm very happy to say that that happened and that the guidance has helped the effectiveness of the response both from schools and the Department of Education that oversees this issue. I've discussed this directly with the Prime Minister, and since that initial call with the Home Secretary on 3 separate occasions with her at the Home Office. Everybody is aware of the danger of this issue, and we're doing everything that we can to respond to it and to make life as easy as possible for your children and also for you, given the anxieties that you will have. Anti-Semitism comes in 2 different forms at this time. Firstly, direct and deliberate anti-Semitic bullying of children from their peers, whether it's in school or on the way to school or on social media. And that can be children who they thought were their best friends. We've had reports of that. I'm sure there are many more beyond what we've been told about. And then there's stupid things like teachers asking Jewish children to stand up in front of the class and explain Israel's perspective. For me, when a Jewish child is singled out by other people, it's anti-Semitic, it's racist. It would be utterly unacceptable and immediately understood as such if it happened to any other child because of the colour of their skin. And it's no different when it comes to anti-Semitism. But we have to be aware that anti-Semitism is actually a really stupid word, and it's a word that people do not understand the meaning of. All of our research shows this time and time again, and it will be no different within the school sector. So instead of getting into some kind of philosophical debate about the nature of anti-Semitism and the war in the Middle East, my advice for you, if this comes up, is just break it down to basic racist principles. My child was singled out. They were singled out because they're Jewish. Deal with this, please, as you would if they were singled out because they are black, or if they were singled out because they are a Muslim. That's the best way to explain it to the school. Every year at CST, we deal with problems of anti-Semitism within non-Jewish schools. It happens at the most exclusive private fee-paying schools all the way across the sector into state schools. It happens across the board. In our experience, actually, the more exclusive schools sometimes find it more difficult to cope with than the state schools. Maybe because they perceive it as somehow reputationally damaging. I don't know. I'm not getting into that right now. But really what I want to stress, two things. Firstly, explain it to the school in terms of racism in a way that the school will understand. Secondly, the welfare of your child. I cannot stress that enough. The welfare of your child is what this is all about. Every time CST is asked to give advice or to intervene on behalf of a situation in a non-Jewish school, we always reply, you know your child better than us. You know what your child can withstand. Mental health, mental well-being. You know better than us what your child has gone through. What does your child want? Never mind what you want as a parent, coming to this with your own emotions and your own perspective. What does your child want? Does your child really want this to end up with another one of their schoolmates being taken away to the police station? Or does your child actually just want an acknowledgement that they've been wronged? Does your child ideally want an apology from the person who upset them? Does the child want to know that the school supports them? Does the child want to know that you support them? And does the child want to know that your involvement and the school's involvement will make things better for them moving forward rather than worse for them? Will it only add to the mental strain that your child feels? And you need to be honest with yourself, and you need to find it in yourself to have that conversation with your child, because their welfare is what this is all about. Next, I want to talk about Streetwise and Stand Up, which are two partnerships that CST has with Maccabi GB. These are two programs that go into schools, Jewish schools, but also non-Jewish state schools and private schools, in order to discuss the subject of anti-Semitism and in order to advise Jewish kids on how to keep themselves safe, literally how to be streetwise. Some of it's quite basic, but it's really important. Don't walk down the street with your head in your mobile phone. Look up, look around you, see the trouble before it comes to you. If you see people that you don't like the look of, either across the road or go into a shop, get out of their way. If you go on a bus, better that you go downstairs rather than upstairs. If you go on the tube, better you go into a crowded carriage than an empty carriage. All of this personal safety, street awareness theory. We also educate about anti-Semitism in the Streetwise program, and we give physical self-defense training, an Israeli technique called Krav Maga, which is very, very effective. It's not a martial art, it's literally how to win a fight as quickly as possible, should you ever get into one. This program, Streetwise, has a particular partnership called Jewish Activity in Mainstream Schools, JAMS for short. That is done between Streetwise and the Union of Jewish Students, who are going to speak on this call, and also with assistance from UJIA. So this is a really important partnership, and Maccabi oversee it because Maccabi's in the youth space, and this is their expertise. Since October the 10th, the Streetwise team has already spoken to over 4,500 young Jewish pupils across the UK. If you need them to come to your child's school, please get in touch. Streetwise, just look it up online. There's another program called Stand Up, which is effectively a branch of Streetwise. Stand Up gives amazing education on anti-Semitism and also on anti-Muslim hatred. Jewish and Muslim educators, youth leaders, go side by side into schools and explain about the prejudices and the hatreds that they both experience and that their communities can suffer from. The impact of having a Jew and a Muslim stood side by side talking about these things is really, really striking. And that program, Stand Up, has engaged over 3,000 young people in schools since October the 10th. And that's not only Jewish kids, by the way. Mainly the children going through this are not Jewish. I've done quite a few community Zoom briefings of this nature over the last few weeks, and I've concluded in every single one by saying that CST is here and is strong and is resilient for all of you. So in return, I would like all of you to be strong and resilient for CST. But that's not how I'm going to end this evening. This evening I'm going to end by saying, please find it in yourselves to be strong for your children. I know that you have anxieties for your future here in the UK because of all of the anti-Semitism that we're seeing, for what's happening right now, and a lot of the time that can be transferred to your children because they're young, because they're vulnerable. Please find it in yourself to be strong for your children. Find it in yourself to give your children strength and resilience rather than putting your anxieties and your fears into their heads. They have more than enough to deal with in their personal lives, in their school lives, in whatever they do on social media, all sorts of things that probably you only know a very small fraction of. So please, be there for your children, be strong for your children, utilize all of the resources that are available, and if anything does happen to your child, be very, very clear. What is the outcome that my child needs from this? Is it something to end up with the police? Or is it something where essentially there needs to be an acknowledgement from the school, there needs to be actions put in place by the school, and there needs to be an apology for what they've suffered? Is that actually the best way for them to move forward and for you to move forward? Thank you very much. I wish everybody well. I'm Israel Chai. That was all right.
Yep.